Welcome back to episode 6 of the Voice of Skylar Morgan podcast. This podcast is about audiobooks, and today we're going to be going over a few different things. Right off the bat is how to take care of your voice. Hey, just real quick, I did set up a Patreon. It's got some uncut episodes, some behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm going to do a bonus episode every month. And then I've got some of my music, my attempts at music on there. If you want to support, I got 2 tiers. It's not much a month. It's like buying me a coffee or something. And honestly, it'd mean a lot. So check it out. Links in the bio, patreon.com/TVOSM. So I found a website as I was browsing through audiobook articles about something that a lot of people overlook. And I mean, pot this is the kettle over. I harm my vocal cords a lot. Just with everyday things that isn't an issue for most people. However, when your voice is your key to work, if you're not taking care of it and you have a bad day, you have a really bad day. So there's a ton of importance in it. So I'll tell you the ones that I'm not so consistent on. Everybody needs work, but I do try. We're gonna go over some tips and tricks and some ideas that you may want to implement to keep and maintain a healthy voice so your career as a voice actor of sorts can live long and prosper. So I'm going to be honest. I'm stealing most of this because a lot of it's right, and it would be what you would want to talk about. This article is great. It's from voiceshopcoaching.com. The Voice Shop. They put in their 2 cents. So I'm just going to go over some of it real quick and add my 2 cents, and we'll see if we can make our voices very, 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 I'm not a writer. I'm just a reader. Okay, tips for voice actors. Maintaining healthy vocal cords. So I'll read their blurb here. As a voice actor, whether you're just getting started or finding work regularly, caring for your voice is of utmost importance. Though it may seem obvious, keeping your vocal cords healthy isn't as simple as avoiding yelling or preventing strain by talking softly. While these tasks can certainly help, there's plenty you can do and should do. In maintaining healthy vocal cords, you also need to be aware of the many factors that can push on them. Point in case, I went to a concert this weekend. Concerts aren't necessarily my jam, but to want to get out of my comfort zone and just be around the whole buzz of a concert rock venue, I wanted to see it, wanted to see how they're doing this live show at this certain place. I thought it would be interesting. So I went. And of course you can't speak softly because they're playing rock music in front of you. And if somebody wants to talk to you, you're yelling. Not a big deal, but I bet 90% of you that have been to a concert have woken up the next day and you're like, you will damage your vocal cords. And it's not permanent damage. It's just speaking loud. So your vocal folds are going to be swollen, and they're not going to want to close properly, and they won't undulate the way they need to give you your normal voice. So for a day or two, you might feel a bit hoarse. Like I said, only a problem if this is your gig. So keep it in mind. You can also use that as a superpower, in my opinion. Though I wouldn't advise this specifically. It has helped me create a character voice in the past. So if you've got a really low, gravelly, militant guy that's heavy on the false chords of your voice, that's not your actual vocal cords, but some other stuff up there, you kind of want to get a rasp to him. If you go to a rock concert and speak loudly a lot the night before, you're going to get more of a naturally gravelly pitch to your sound to your voice. And it comes up with some cool characters. I don't recommend doing it, though. Just don't damage your cords. Keep them safe. Back to this thing. Needless to say, your voice is your most important tool as a voice talent, and you need to ensure it's ready to go at all times. You never know when you're going to get that next call, or if your voice isn't in shape. Getting the job just won't be simple. No matter your vocal experience, take a look below to learn how you can prevent vocal strain to keep your vocal cords healthy. Okay, here's a few of them. We'll go over them and expand if necessary. So, the first one is smoke. Obviously, smoke. They say this is their take on it. Whether it's your own or second-hand, cigarette smoke is quite irritating for your vocal cords. through a low, raspy voice is often needed for productions. Smoking isn't the way to achieve such. They're right. Am I guilty? Have I never smoked a cigarette before in my life? No. You have to try it. But also, remember when grandma's 90 or grandpa's 90 and they're sitting in the nursing home and they've been smoking them Winstons for 90 some years and they sound like this and they can't really take a full breath. And eventually that damage over and over through your lifetime of smoking is going to cause it's lung expansion issues. You're not going to be able to fully open your chest. Your diaphragm's not going to be working the way it needs to. Your vocal cords, folds, all that shit is going to be damaged through repeated trauma. And so you may have a unique voice. You're definitely going to be limited. And I mean, if your voice is what you're known for, is how you pay the bills, risking the health of your voice by smoking does not seem like a good idea. However, Pot, this is cattle. I have, every once in a while, been out too late and dabbled in the dark arts of a cigarette. The second thing they have to say here. Exhaust. Exhaust, much like smoke, you also need to avoid. If you live in a big city or find yourself near exhaust, cover up with a scarf. I mean, I'm from Montana, so I don't necessarily have bumper-to-bumper traffic, but I can imagine that it's not necessarily great for you to be huffing exhaust pipes all day long, 2 hours in traffic, 2 hours home from traffic. Could be an issue. I don't know if a scarf is the proper PPE for it. If you're really trying to save your voice, probably better than nothing. We do live in a time of masks, so maybe throw one of those bad boys on your face. I don't know. I personally have no experience with it, but it's on the list. This next one's probably going to hurt you guys here. It hurt me when I found out, but here it is. Caffeine. Stated to dry out the larynx, caffeine can also give your voice some trouble. So, come the morning of a recording or an audition, try skipping the coffee to keep your voice fresh. What? No, you can't take that beautiful nectar away from me. This is one that I've probably been neglecting for a while. However, I did about 2 years ago. Switch to caffeine pills. You don't have the acidic rollover on your voice. You don't have damaging hot liquids when you have it. You know, you want it immediately, but it does need to be at an adequate temperature. So, I mean, I switched from having a French press coffee to a 200 milligram caffeine pill. So I get my little buzz that everybody's looking for to wake me up in the morning, and I feel like I'm not doing near the damage on my voice. I got one more thing brought up here. The elements. During the winter months, that cold air can really be rough on your throat. Needless to say, stay warm when out and about, and consider throwing on a scarf. They're scarf heavy in this article. Yeah, definitely narrating with a cold is not easy. You will not have a good time. Sometimes you need to use this part of your voice up here to just generally sound like yourself. And when you're all plugged up or you're not feeling good, or you're going from hot to cold, it's not necessarily great, so limit that kind of exposure. All right, so they pop back into a narrative here. Also, side note, if you want a real hack, grab one of those Nettie Pots. They're disgusting. You get your little saline solution, and you can either do the tea kettle one and tip it and just watch it urinal at your nose, or you can go in like a real gangster and get the bottle that you squeeze, and you just, you could be the most disgusting human being in the entire room for sure when you jam that bad boy up your nose and just shoot the other side out. However, those winter months when your nose is all stuffed and you're trying to get it together, that is going to be your best friend. Try it out. I'll link one in the description if you don't know what I'm talking about. Here we go. Though it may seem a bit much, maintaining your vocal cords and avoiding the factors above is a must for voice actors, as we just talked about. Compared to professional athletes, yeah, like I said, it's your moneymaker. It's your Brett Favre throwing arm. It's your, I don't know, Wayne Gretzky hockey stick? I don't watch hockey, but he's the only one I know. It's what you need to succeed, so don't neglect it. They have some vocal care tips here. They want to keep hydrated at all time. I feel like hydration even in my experience without being a, a doctor of sorts, Being hydrated is probably numero uno on the list of importance for healthy vocal function. You'll notice first, like if you have super dry lips, it's one of the first things that is going to dry out. Your body's going to shunt away. You get dry lips and you're putting on chapstick, you're covering up the problem. But that's going to progress in your vocal cords. They need a significant amount of moisture to be healthy. And if you're going to be using your voice a lot, you want them healthy as they can. So hydrate, drink a shitload of water. Just a shitload. You're going to pee a lot, but just drink it anyways because it's for the better. I got this bad boy on me all the time. Real gangsta, stay strapped. But all right, so refrain from yelling and whispering, as it's quite strenuous to the voice. Like I said, going to the concert, you're going to get rasp. It's going to change your next day's performance, whether you want it to or not. So just be mindful if you are going to go check out. And if you do, maybe don't sit there and scream standing next to the speaker. Try not to clear your throat, as this too can be irritating. And yeah, okay, I get it. You're not supposed to make that violent upchucking sound, which is disgusting, yeah. But can you really just choose not to do that? Do your best, I guess. Stay active. Try physical exercise like cardio. It can work wonders for your voice and acting skills. And so much of it is controlled with breath. This is true. You've heard about me talk about this before if you are returning to this podcast. But if you are struggling and kind of in a slump voice acting, just get in shape. It'll improve all aspects. It's going to get you more familiar with your diaphragm control. You're going to be able to narrate longer. You're going to feel better. This is a very inactive job. Trust me, you can be sitting or standing in the same spot for an entire day. Go for a walk. At least. That's, if I can't make it to do any sort of actual physical activity, whether it be hitting the gym in some form or, kettlebell or yoga or something, take my dog for a walk. She's sweet. We take her, we walk for a mile. It gets me out of this neutral position, gets the blood flowing, gives me a little bit of cardio, and allows me to, take care of the machine that is in control of the voice. All right, so avoid talking from your throat. In other words, ensure you breathe with your words. Otherwise, you could put extra stress in your voice. The easiest way I can relate this, if that was confusing to anybody, it's speak the way Michael Jackson speaks. He's singing, because it's controlled from your diaphragm. You're not just throwing your words out. You're keeping everything in line when you're speaking. And that's going to make a smoother, more efficient undulation of your vocal cords, which is going to cause them less damage and harm throughout the day when you're using your voice. You might seem like a psycho if you show up one day for work and you're like, hey guys, I talk like this now. Just, I don't know, do the best you can. They're tips, they're not necessities. Before the session, I want to say, avoid caffeine, drink plenty of water. We just talked that. Much like caffeine, alcohol can also dry out your larynx. It's nice to have a few drinks after work some days, and go to the happy hour with your friends and family and all that. However, alcohol, just like cigarettes, just like damn near any other, coffee, harsh substance, is going to have some form of damage to your vocal cords. Also, before putting your voice to use, do some light humming. Do more than light humming. Do way more than light humming. Do a full vocal warm-up. How about that? Make sure that your voice is at its tippy-toppest shape before you go into whatever you're going to do, and it's going to have benefits. You will perform better. For instance, try this. Try singing your favorite song, and then go to Jeff Rolka's warm-up page on YouTube. Do just one of his singing exercises or warm-up exercises, and then go try to sing it yourself. Sing it again. And guess what? It's going to be night and day difference. So don't just hum. Warm up your voice in every sort of way. Warm up your diaphragm. Warm up your face. Grab your cheeks and shut it like this. And, make sure you can move your entire mouth. Because when that feels like smooth like butter, smooth as can be, it's going to be less you focusing on what words you're saying and more you're focusing on what the character is saying. So just try it out. Also, on another note from that, I realized that it can be inconvenient to have to do 30 minutes of warm-up before you start your work. You can skip it, you can condense it, but know that you're, in the end, probably cheating yourself and you're reaching your full capacity of your voice. It's just that important, and it's now part of the job, so don't be skimpy on it, All right, try gently singing within your range on your way to the session. Yeah, do that. If you're driving in a car, sing like a crazy person. It's good for your voice. Okay, so I hope that's at least a few tips and tricks to help you maintain what your voice is capable of and improve and maybe have a very long and once again prosperous career in audiobook narration. Okay, so in this second part of the episode, I wanted to go over some common questions for narrators. I'll try to make it mildly relatable if you are not. If you're one of the third person viewers in this narration author relationship here. These are common questions. Not common, recent questions. I'm stealing them right off the Reddit page. So if you want to go check it out and see what other people have to say, it's on ACX's Reddit page. I'm choosing ACX because I get the lump sum of my share of work off of ACX. So, and they're pretty common questions. I see them repeated. I've been a part of this community for a while. And, newbie questions are always the same. I had them. You may have them. Someone else is going to have them. So we'll start it off here. Check this out. Hey, I'm not going to leave the names in. I feel like I didn't ask them if I could talk about this, so I don't know. ACX, 10 Business Day Audio Review. Hello, everyone. I'm just curious if anyone knows exactly what entails an audio review from ACX. Are they putting it through proprietary software? Is someone listening to it? Are they monitoring dB levels, similarly to books already recorded, etc.? 10 days is better than 30, but it's a bit too much. Anyways, any input would be greatly appreciated. 10 days, if you're new to the game, may seem like a long time. The old game was months. I mean, I've had a 5-month waiting for ACX. There was nothing wrong. I didn't have to redo any parts of the book. The decibels were fine. My waveforms were nice and beautiful. And 5 months later, they're like, oh, yeah, you wanted this out, right? Here it is. 10 days is amazing. So let's not be too upset already. However, to answer your question, it's automated. I don't think they might have somebody listening for beginnings and ends and make sure that an actual human is narrating it. But I'm 99.9% sure this is now mostly automated. And from what I know and what I found out, the audiobook section of Amazon and all this isn't necessarily that big. It's not their big moneymaker. It makes millions and millions of dollars a year, but they make so much money that this is like a small area of their business. So don't expect them to have a gigantic fleet of people on the job. I bet it's smaller than you think, and I bet it's probably scary, and I bet they are utilizing the technology that we have. So I would say they are definitely using most of it automated. Anybody who's been narrating for the past, 6 months know that they recently updated their site. Before, you wouldn't know. You'd submit each chapter files to the web page, and you wouldn't know if ACX would be mad at it or not. It passed all your inspections. Your RMS was appropriate. Your max decibel level was within range, and you've got the right silence at the beginning and the end of your track. And then they'd send you an email a couple months later going, yeah, we've rejected this, fix it, and this is what they found. That seemed like an actual person at that point in time. Ever since they switched over to this new automatic, like you put it in there now and it'll be like, oh, we found some audio issues. And it's running it through an analyzer, checking for RMS and all the regular things. And if it finds an issue, which by the way, I've not had issues in mine, uploaded it and had issues in it. So I'm not necessarily sure how accurate this Mamma Jamma is, but it's what they're using. And ever since they switched to it, I haven't had anything. I mean, I don't get a ton of shit rejected, but I've had absolutely nothing rejected. So I think it's a robot. It's now just a robot, which is going to be a weird. I mean, it's not like they were vetting the audiobooks before putting them out the way like an audition itself, like, oh, this audiobook turned out like shit, we're throwing it back. No, they'll let that garbage slide on by. But now I think that since there's probably a computer at the wheel, it's just nothing but garbage sliding by and good stuff. But what I'm saying is yeah, it's a robot. The robots have taken over. Next question. All right, Rightsholder canceled production. So for those of you who don't know, the author is almost always, or sometimes, also the rights holder of the book, and they go online and they go to, in this case, ACX, and they post their book saying, we want a narrator with these kind of attributes, and then you go to the not the royalties page, you go to the auditions page, and you audition your heart out, and if they like you, they pick you. That's what we're talking about. So they canceled production. The rights holder canceled production. Hey, I'm fairly new to ACX. I recently received an offer to produce an audiobook for royalty share. I was super cool and excited as it seemed to have a decent pull on Amazon with 400 plus reviews. If you're a new narrator and you want experience, you can take a book with no reviews and royalty share only, but be prepared to make $0. I'm just going to say that. And we can get into it more in depth later of like what to specifically audition for, but just know that you're probably taking a big risk. So in this case, with 400 reviews and royalty share, it seems to be a popular book, or a mildly popular book. So I see why you were like, hey, let's do this. I finished the first 15-minute checkpoint, and the rights holder approved. So I got to work. The book was 100,000 words, so I knew it would take some time. Probably over 10 hours of audio, in case you don't know what 100,000 words might be in narrative time. And 10 hours of audio is really 10 times 4. If you're doing the average narration per day, it's 4 hours, goes into 1 finished hour of work. So a 10-hour book will take you all week or 2 weeks, depending on how much you can work in the day. So it is kind of a big deal. After a few days after having gotten about halfway done, I received a message from ACX saying the production has been canceled. The production has been removed from the ACX site. Does this mean all my time recording is down the tube? In there, yeah, unfortunately. In this case, here's what my guess is. They stole that book. They weren't the rights holder. They stole it from somebody. Sometimes they can make it long enough to scam you and get all of your time. I've been scammed before. It pisses you off. And you can reach out to ACX. You're most likely not going to be able to do jack shit about it, and they're going to say, sorry, like they have a complete scam account. There's nobody... Okay, there's a lot of driving by right now. Give me a second. A big truck outside. Okay, so yeah, they're scamming you. They entered a bunch of fake information to get that. They stole a book, they uploaded it. Sometimes they get away with it and they steal your audio and then they go re-upload it themselves. They do a bunch of dirty stuff with it. It's super not cool, bro. So you got to be mindful. When you see 400 reviews, that would assume like maybe they're legitimate. They might be bona fide rights holder, but in this case, it wasn't. ACX does have some cancellation things, but this is when a scammer's not on one side or the other. It's like $100 per finished hour that you got done, times the projected number of finished hours. I've never seen it enforced because I've never been scammed by a real live human being like that. That is actually... I've been scammed by scammers is what I'm trying to say. Like I haven't had out of the 190 some books that I did, I haven't had an interaction with a rights holder where they got cold feet or whatever and pulled it out. And even if they did, I wouldn't have a lot of faith in actually getting any kind of payment from there. So be prepared for heartbreak and do your diligent homework. Like dig into the person before auditioning for them and accepting that stuff. Sometimes the scammers are extremely super scammy. You'll see shit that's not even in remotely complete sentences, and they won't message with you back and forth. They won't share their email. They won't do anything that a normal person willing to go into some kind of monetary contract would actually go through. So your sniffer will start sniffing real quick if they're scammy, trust me, and listen to your gut. Unfortunately, in this case, this person's probably going to lose a week of their time. And it sucks. It sucks. Do the best you can. All right, next question. New to ACX, question about make an offer versus message first. Hi all, this is my first time putting ink to voice. And I'm wondering from all of you what the typical best practices for approaching a producer/narrator. It's typically seen a better. I swear to God, I can read. Is it typically seen as a better? Wow. Is it typically seen as better to message someone first and ask if they would be willing to take my work on, or sending them an offer straight away? Okay. Well, do your homework. Don't send them like if they'll have a profile and they'll say that they narrate for $400 per finished hour because they are a professional. And they've been doing this, and they'll do a great job with it. If you send an offer out of the blue for $50 per finished hour, they're just going to click decline, like that button's on fire. So just be mindful. If you're going to send an offer, send them a reasonable offer right off the bat. And it might be a nice, like, hello, I really liked your voice. Would you be willing to accept this? But also, it never hurts to have a discussion with them. The worst they can do is say no. It's like going out on a date, I suppose, or asking someone on a date. You're like, hey, I like you. Do you like me? And they say yes sometimes, and they say no sometimes. They might be okay with it. Be like, hey, great. Put you on the list to let you know how long it is going to be before they can get to it. It's all up in the air. We're really rolling the dice. Sending them a message, though, it doesn't hurt to have some general dialogue. Ask what their genre is, what their time frame would be. Are they taking on work at the moment? Like some people can get in with a few authors and they have got work for forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So they may have a profile on there, but they might be, 2 years from being able to even put your book into the production line. Like it might not be you, it might be them. But ask. Never hurts, reaching out. So go either way. But I would say, if I had to choose, message first. They had another question here. Also, another question. Once I've agreed to something with the narrator, do we typically have a sit-down Zoom call, etc., to go over pronunciation of names and places and accents and such? Or do I just leave it to them to guess? It depends on how much or how hands-on you want to be. Some narrators get really upset when the rights holder or the author is really, really, really specific. And understandably so, because you're doing work, it's taking time, and they're going in the back and they're making a change. Oh, fuck. I ran out of recording space on my phone, so in the middle of that thought, it's basically, okay, let's just hit that shit from the start. The question is, once I've agreed to something with the narrator, do we typically sit down and have a Zoom call, etc., to go over pronunciation of names and places and accents and such, or do I just leave it to them to guess? I do my homework. I try to, if it's based in Spain, I might do not necessarily, you wouldn't put some weird accent on a place that's specifically in a location. You know what I mean? But some people might not go to that extent. Or they might not even, what do I want to say about this? Basically, would I prefer? I hate Zoom calls. I never got into that shit. I don't know if I'm broken. I hate phone calls in general. It's fine. It might be a necessary thing to do. But if you're just talking pronunciations, here's the deal. I can't record this phone call down, and I will forget what you say. If it's Lazareth instead of Lazarus, and that character doesn't show up for another week and a half, I might forget. I might miss it in my note. I don't know. The easiest way is to send them an email with voice clips. Each one, label it, blam, 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 so they can have that shit sitting on their computer. And if they're like, how is this pronounced? They can reach over, click it, you say it, and you don't get a mistake. It seems more efficient. So if you've got some, I usually personally ask for character notes, like how do you envision this person? Or do you want me to use my imagination? Some authors are like, hey, this is your interpretation, go buck wild. You could take all the creative liberties you want. And I love that, it's really fun. But it's also equally helpful to have an idea of who you envision the character to be when writing it. And I can build my imagination off of what you say. And if you want a specific accent, like you want him to be a real smooth talker, then just say it there. Give some brief notes. I want him hoarse. He's a general of sorts. Just a couple of guidance words, and then let the character come to life through the voice actor's interpretation. And as always in any creative production, whatever you see is not going to be, and whatever you get is not going to be exactly what you envision. Might be better, might be worse, but go at it with a creative heart and knowing that we are, to use the same word, creating here. So, don't be a tyrant is all I'm saying. Here's the deal. Let's end this episode. That lasted. I've got a few more questions, but we'll hit them later. So thanks for listening to episode 6 of the Voice of Skylar Morgan podcast. Like I said, if you want to support this thing, go to my Patreon. Links down in the description. Sign up, be a patron. You can get a bunch of things, and I'm putting a bunch more stuff on there. It's building every day. So thanks for listening to this episode of the Voice of Skylar Morgan podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment, and fucking share it if you really liked it. Go buck wild. Goodbye. Let's try it one more time just in case that was dog shit. Thank you for listening to Try it again. Thank you for listening to episode 6 of the Voice of Skylar Morgan podcast. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification, gently nudge up to that fucking bell, whatever you have to do, so when I drop a new episode, you're on board. One more, for good measure. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to episode 6 of the Voice of Skylar Morgan podcast. Please like, subscribe, do all the other things you're supposed to do to this YouTube channel to help me gain my success. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough.